Lesson 1: Green Home Transformations.
What green changes have you made to your home?
I began with simple energy adjustments.
Which adjustment did you start with first?
I replaced incandescent bulbs with LEDs.
Did that reduce your electricity bills?
It lowered consumption noticeably each month.
What came after lighting upgrades?
I improved insulation in doors and windows.
Did you seal drafts and add weather stripping?
I did, and indoor comfort improved immediately.
Did you upgrade your heating system?
I installed a programmable thermostat.
Does it save energy by scheduling temperatures?
It reduces unnecessary heating and cooling hours.
Have you considered renewable energy sources?
Yes, I consulted about adding rooftop solar panels.
Did you install solar panels eventually?
I installed a modest system to cover daytime use.
Did the panels require permits or inspections?
They required permits and a professional installation.
How long until the system paid for itself?
The payback timeline varies, but savings began quickly.
Did you change your water usage habits?
I installed low-flow shower heads and faucets.
Did you adjust toilet flush systems as well?
I replaced older toilets with dual flush models.
Do you capture rainwater for gardening?
I set up a rain barrel to collect roof runoff.
How do you use the collected water?
I use it for watering plants and cleaning outdoor areas.
Have you switched to sustainable cleaning products?
I replaced harsh chemicals with biodegradable cleaners.
Do you make homemade cleaners sometimes?
I make simple vinegar and baking soda solutions.
How did you approach waste reduction at home?
I set up a clear recycling and compost system.
Do you compost kitchen scraps indoors or outside?
I compost in an outdoor bin and use a small indoor collector.
Did composting reduce your trash volume?
It reduced landfill waste and improved my garden soil.
Have you changed your purchasing habits?
I prioritize durable goods and buy less frequently.
Do you buy second-hand or refurbished items?
I often choose high-quality second-hand furniture and appliances.
How do you evaluate the energy efficiency of appliances?
I check energy labels and compare long-term operating costs.
Did you replace an old refrigerator or washing machine?
I replaced an old refrigerator with a high-efficiency model.
Did you also change laundry practices?
I wash full loads in cold water and air dry when possible.
Have you altered your cooking habits for sustainability?
I use a pressure cooker and an induction cooktop for efficiency.
Do you plan meals to reduce food waste?
I plan weekly menus and freeze surplus meals.
Have you grown any food at home?
I maintain a vegetable garden and herb planters.
Do container gardens work well for small spaces?
They are excellent for balconies and small yards.
Did you change landscaping to be more sustainable?
I planted native species that require less water and care.
Do native plants support local wildlife?
They attract pollinators and improve biodiversity.
Have you modified your roof or surfaces for heat reduction?
I painted the roof a reflective color and added shade trees.
Do shade trees reduce cooling needs in summer?
They lower indoor temperatures and reduce AC use.
Have you improved ventilation for indoor air quality?
I installed energy recovery ventilators in key areas.
Do those systems exchange stale air while saving energy?
They retain heat while bringing in fresh air efficiently.
Did you change your flooring or materials for sustainability?
I selected reclaimed wood and low VOC finishes.
Do low VOC materials improve indoor health?
They lower chemical exposure and improve comfort.
Have you upgraded windows to double or triple glazing?
I installed double glazed windows in older rooms.
Did that impact heating and noise control?
It improved thermal performance and reduced street noise.
Have you added smart home devices to save energy?
I use smart plugs and energy monitoring systems.
Do you track energy usage in real time?
I monitor patterns and adjust behavior accordingly.
How did you approach lighting controls for efficiency?
I installed motion sensors in rarely used rooms.
Do timers and sensors reduce wasted electricity?
They prevent lights from being left on inadvertently.
Have you adjusted roof drainage for sustainability?
I added permeable paving and bioswales to manage runoff.
Do permeable surfaces reduce flooding risks?
They allow water to infiltrate and reduce strain on drains.
Have you explored green financing for upgrades?
I researched incentives and low-interest programs for efficiency retrofits.
Did you receive any rebates or tax credits?
I qualified for local rebates on insulation and solar installations.
How did you choose contractors for green projects?
I vetted experience, certifications, and customer references.
Did you involve family members in sustainable routines?
I taught simple daily habits to everyone at home.
How do you sustain motivation for green practices?
I set measurable goals and celebrate milestones.
Do you measure the environmental impact of changes?
I track energy and water bills and estimate carbon reductions.
Have you faced pushback on any changes from neighbors or family?
Some resisted initial costs, but savings and benefits convinced them.
Did any changes spark controversy in your community?
Debates arose over visible solar panels and native plant aesthetics.
How did you address community concerns?
I shared data, hosted informational sessions, and invited dialogue.
Do you advocate for broader neighborhood sustainability?
I organize workshops and support community gardens.
Have you integrated circular economy principles at home?
I repurpose items, mend clothing, and practice mindful consumption.
Do you use a sharing economy for seldom used tools?
I borrow tools from a local library of things.
How did you handle lighting in outdoor spaces sustainably?
I installed solar garden lights and motion-activated security lights.
Do solar lights provide adequate illumination for safety?
They are effective for pathways and ambient lighting.
Have you incorporated electric vehicle charging at home?
I installed a level 2 charger to support a future electric car.
Does home charging require electrical upgrades?
It required an electrician to ensure safe capacity and wiring.
Do you monitor the life cycle impacts of products you buy?
I consider durability, repairability, and end-of-life options.
Have you chosen modular furniture to extend use?
I prefer modular and easily reparable designs.
How do you educate guests about your green home practices?
I explain simple routines and invite participation respectfully.
Do guests ever react negatively to changes like composting?
Initially, some are unsure, but they often appreciate the benefits.
Have you reduced single-use plastics at home?
I eliminated disposable cutlery, plates, and takeaway containers.
Did you switch to reusable food storage solutions?
I use glass jars, beeswax wraps, and stainless steel containers.
Do you practice conscious energy use during peak hours?
I shift heavy appliance use to off-peak times when possible.
Have you engaged with local policymakers about sustainability?
I attended council meetings to support green incentives.
Do you plan further green upgrades in the future?
I plan to expand solar capacity and improve insulation further.
What is your single best tip for homeowners who want to go green?
Start with small, affordable changes and measure their impact.
I appreciate your comprehensive approach and I will begin my own green upgrades this month.
Lesson 2: Influencer Trust and Digital Scrutiny.
How do you decide which influencers to trust?
I begin with transparent disclosure of sponsorships.
Do you trust influencers who hide paid partnerships?
I seldom trust influencers who obscure commercial ties.
What is the next criterion you use?
I examine their expertise and background relevant to the topic.
How do you verify claimed credentials?
I look for links to institutions, publications, and verifiable profiles.
Do you value long-term track records?
Yes, consistent quality over time builds credibility.
How do you judge content accuracy?
I check their claims against primary sources and reputable outlets.
Do you consider engagement metrics like follower counts?
I consider them cautiously because numbers can be manipulated.
How do you detect manipulated metrics?
I look for sudden spikes, low comment quality, and bot-like patterns.
Do you read comments to assess audience reaction?
I read comments to understand how the community responds.
Can comments be misleading about credibility?
They can, because echo chambers and coordinated praise exist.
Do you prefer influencers who cite sources?
I prefer those who provide links, studies, or documentation.
How important is tone and humility in their content?
Humility and openness to correction signal integrity.
Do you follow influencers who change positions frequently?
I appreciate reasoned updates but distrust flip-flopping for clout.
How do you evaluate their commercial endorsements?
I assess whether endorsements align with their stated values.
Is alignment always a good sign?
It can be, but alignment alone does not prove honesty.
How do you handle influencers with strong political views?
I separate their advocacy from factual claims and verify both.
Do you check for conflict of interest beyond sponsorships?
I check business ties, board memberships, and affiliate relationships.
Do you use independent fact checks on influencer claims?
I consult fact-checking sites and original data when available.
How do you treat influencers who oversimplify complex issues?
I remain skeptical and seek deeper analysis elsewhere.
Do you trust influencers who admit uncertainty?
I trust them more because they avoid false certainty.
How do you react to influencers who attack critics harshly?
Aggressive hostility toward critics undermines credibility.
Do you favor influencers who engage respectfully with experts?
Yes, respectful dialogue with experts is a positive sign.
How do you distinguish genuine niche experts from self-proclaimed ones?
I look for peer recognition, publications, and community respect.
Do you consider the production quality of content?
Production quality matters, but it is not the sole indicator of truth.
How do you weigh entertainment value against informational value?
I separate entertainment from factual reliability and label them accordingly.
Do you follow influencers who correct their mistakes publicly?
I admire those who transparently correct errors and explain revisions.
How do you vet influencer-sponsored products?
I read independent reviews and check objective test results.
Do you distrust influencers who promote many unrelated products?
Excessive diversification of endorsements raises suspicion.
How do you assess cultural sensitivity in influencer content?
I observe whether they consult affected communities and show respect.
Do you evaluate influencers for diversity and inclusion in their networks?
I note whether they amplify diverse voices and perspectives.
How do you verify claims about health and medicine?
I consult medical journals, official health agencies, and licensed professionals.
Do you avoid influencers making dramatic medical promises?
I avoid anyone promising miracle cures or guaranteed outcomes.
How do you handle influencers who use fear or outrage to gain views?
I am cautious, because sensationalism often sacrifices nuance.
Do you prefer influencers who provide balanced pros and cons?
Balanced presentations indicate thoughtful analysis.
How do you check for deepfake or edited videos?
I analyze inconsistencies, check original uploads, and use verification tools.
Do you consider platform policies when trusting influencers?
Platform enforcement can matter, but it is not definitive.
How do you treat cross-platform behavior of influencers?
I examine consistency across channels for authenticity.
Do you track whether influencers engage in community service or activism?
I appreciate tangible actions that match their stated values.
How do you respond to influencers with legal controversies?
I review court records, legal outcomes, and credible reporting.
Do you follow investigative journalism about influencers?
I follow in-depth investigations to uncover hidden patterns.
How do you decide to stop following an influencer?
I unfollow when evidence shows deceit, exploitation, or harmful behavior.
Do you use tools to detect sponsored content that is not disclosed?
I use browser extensions and check registration databases when possible.
How do you teach learners to vet influencers?
I provide checklists, examples, and hands-on practice verifying claims.
Do you encourage skepticism without cynicism?
Yes, healthy skepticism asks questions while remaining open to evidence.
How do you weigh charisma against substance?
Charisma attracts attention, but substance sustains trust.
Do you consider the influencer's financial model?
I assess whether revenue incentives could bias content.
How do you evaluate micro-influencers versus celebrities?
Micro-influencers may offer niche trust but require the same scrutiny.
Do you follow influencers who collaborate with experts?
Collaborations with qualified experts enhance credibility.
How do you verify translations or non-English content?
I use trusted translators and cross-cultural experts.
Do you watch for manipulative emotional appeals?
I critique emotional manipulation and seek factual backing.
How do you distinguish satire from misinformation?
I check context, disclaimers, and the publisher's reputation.
Do you recommend unfollowing en masse after a scandal?
I evaluate each case and act based on credible evidence.
How do you encourage platforms to improve transparency?
I support policies for clearer disclosures and independent audits.
Do you ever contact an influencer about concerns?
I sometimes do, politely citing evidence and asking for clarification.
How do you react when an influencer changes positions ethically?
I welcome reasoned evolution and scrutinize the motivations.
Do you believe influencers can be net positive for public discourse?
They can be influential for good when accountable and evidence-based.
What is one practical rule you recommend everyone follow?
Verify claims, demand disclosures, and prioritize independent evidence.
I will apply that rule and promote careful evaluation of influencers.
Lesson 3: The Unforgettable Journey.
What was your most memorable travel experience?
It was a journey across 3 countries in 1 month.
Which countries did you visit on that trip?
I visited Portugal, Morocco, and Spain.
How did you plan such an ambitious itinerary?
I researched routes, seasons, and cultural highlights carefully.
Did you travel alone or with companions?
I traveled mostly alone and met locals along the way.
Why did you choose solo travel for that trip?
Solo travel offered freedom and deep personal reflection.
How did you cope with language barriers?
I learned key phrases and used polite gestures.
Did that approach open new experiences?
It led to invitations to family meals and authentic conversations.
What moment stands out from Portugal?
A sunrise walk along cliffs above the Atlantic Sea.
How did that sunrise affect you?
The light changed my perspective and felt like renewal.
What memory do you cherish from Morocco?
A night in a desert camp beneath an endless star field.
Did the silence in the desert teach you anything?
Silence revealed how small worries become distant in vast spaces.
How were interactions with Moroccan hosts?
They were warm, generous, and proud of their traditions.
What did you learn from the local cuisine there?
Spices combine history and story in every shared dish.
What experience defined your time in Spain?
A spontaneous flamenco performance in an old neighborhood.
How did that performance make you feel?
It felt raw, urgent, and deeply human.
Were there any surprising challenges on the trip?
Train strikes and sudden weather forced last-minute changes.
How did you handle those disruptions?
I stayed calm, adapted plans, and asked for help when needed.
Did any encounter change your long-term outlook?
A conversation with an elder artisan taught me patience and craft.
How did you document the journey?
I wrote short reflections and took careful photographs.
Did you ever feel unsafe traveling alone?
Once, in a crowded market, but local vendors intervened kindly.
How did that help you trust strangers again?
Their protection restored my belief in human kindness.
Did you make lasting friendships on the road?
I formed several deep friendships that continue today.
How did travel influence your language skills?
Immersion accelerated my conversation and listening skills.
Did you bring any traditions back home?
I began cooking tagines and hosting small music nights.
How did those traditions affect your social life?
They deepened friendships and sparked new cultural curiosity.
Was budget a constraint during the trip?
I budgeted strictly yet allowed occasional splurges for special moments.
Did you use travel apps or paper guides?
I used a mix of both to balance authenticity and convenience.
How did local transportation compare between countries?
Portugal had efficient trains, Morocco required flexible taxis, and Spain offered reliable high-speed rail.
Did you experience culture shock anywhere?
I did feel small moments of disorientation, then delight in learning.
What ethical choices did you consider as a traveler?
I respected local customs, supported local businesses, and avoided exploitative tours.
Did you face any controversial moments as a guest?
I witnessed debates over tourist behavior harming neighborhoods.
How did you respond to those debates personally?
I adjusted my choices and promoted responsible travel among peers.
What sensory memory returns most vividly?
The smell of sea salt, spice markets, and warm bread at dawn.
Did you ever question the decision to travel then?
Only briefly during difficult moments, then gratitude returned quickly.
How did the journey affect your creativity?
It unlocked new ideas and a deeper appetite for storytelling.
Did you learn practical travel skills on that trip?
I learned navigation, bargaining with respect, and emergency planning.
What mistake taught you the most?
Losing a small bag taught me to duplicate documents and backups.
Did you ever experience a cultural misstep?
Once, I misread a social cue and apologized sincerely.
How did the apology change the interaction?
Humility turned awkwardness into mutual learning.
Did you keep souvenirs from that trip?
I kept a few handcrafted items and many photographs.
What souvenir holds the deepest meaning?
A small woven cloth given by an artisan with a story attached.
How do you share your travel stories with others?
I tell short, vivid tales and invite questions to teach context.
Did the trip influence your career or studies?
It inspired research into cultural preservation and craft economies.
Would you recommend similar travel to learners of English?
Yes, because travel provides living language and cultural context.
How did you manage moments of loneliness?
I wrote letters, called home, and accepted invitations to dine with others.
Did you ever feel that travel was a luxury you could not justify?
I considered opportunity cost, but the lessons proved invaluable.
How did local festivals shape your memories?
Festivals revealed communal values and created unforgettable rhythms.
Did you photograph every place you visited?
I photographed selectively to remain present in some moments.
How has the memory of that trip evolved over time?
It has grown fuller and more meaningful with each retelling.
What controversial observation did you make about tourism?
Popular tourism can erase local life if not managed with care.
How should travelers respond to that concern?
Travel responsibly, seek local voices, and support sustainable practices.
What final lesson did the trip teach you?
Openness, humility, and the courage to be curious are travel necessities.
My most memorable trip was a single city that transformed my assumptions.
Which city changed your assumptions so deeply?
It was a city that blends ancient streets with fierce modern art.
How did the art influence your perception of the city?
The art challenged narratives and demanded active engagement.
Did you meet people who shifted your worldview there?
I met young activists, elder artisans, and travelers who debated loudly.
Were those debates respectful or heated?
They were often heated but honest and enlightening.
Did the city feel dangerous at any point?
At times, yet the creative energy outweighed fear.
What cultural contradiction did you notice most vividly?
Wealth and poverty existed side by side within the same blocks.
How did that contradiction influence your conversations?
It forced candid talks about inequality and responsibility.
Did you change any habits after returning from your journey?
I began supporting local artisans and volunteering for cultural causes.
Has travel become a regular practice for you now?
I plan trips intentionally to learn, not merely to see.